Okay, so did everybody there appreciate and enjoy McGill's love story? I don't think that was even really hinted at in the first scenario that we played through. I mean, I certainly don't remember getting the idea that McGill had any past relationship with Riddell, really. Even though I can see where it was hinted at a few times in some of the dialogue. People talking about him coming back and not making the same mistake he made last time, things like that. Well, he didn't make the same mistake he made last time. He took Riddell with him. So that's scenario 2, McGill, caught between love and adventure. Now, on to scenario 3, which I think will be a little bit shorter. But who knows how much text and dialogue it has. This one also has 3 different endings that I'm going to try for. We'll be heartily abusing save states here. So, Viper Manor, huh? I'm going to put it on normal speed because I did not appreciate the text zipping through before I could even finish it. Boy, did her information help. I thought the perimeter's counterspell would be quite a problem. Kid's braid sways gently from side to side in the cool nighttime breeze. So far, we've managed to slip through the magical shield network undetected and sneak into Lynx's domain. Still, this inner region can make for some pretty rough travel. Kid, McGill, and I comprise this party of 3. However, while walking behind Kid, I can't help but notice her ponytail endlessly swishing back and forth. Back and forth. Back and forth. Oh, I'm starting to get sleepy. So sleepy. But I can't fall asleep, not now. It's too dangerous to fall asleep here, I keep telling myself over and over. Kid had a name for this sort of thing, but I can't seem to remember it at the moment. Man, that was close. Shaking my head, I try to stay alert. Still, all this is really something. Walking through a forest like this on a night like tonight reminds me so much of the first time I bumped into her. It's been something like 3 years since Kid and I met. Back then I was a drifter, wandering wherever my music led me. During my stay in the remote town of Rigoria, I ended up running into a girl who later joined me, leading to the beginning of all this. That girl was Kid. Kid is a thief, of course. Not even 17 years old, she's already widely renowned as a top professional. To make matters worse, she's cute, devilishly stylish, and has a sparkling personality. And boy can she cook, if you ask her, that is. Well, to be completely honest, we've already been through all of this, so let's see. Oh, come on, she can't be that greedy. She's just Kid. Blah, 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 blah. Hello, McGill. You silent, quiet mentor type. Kid's quiet, McGill's quiet. Nobody talks about their past. You might be wondering how I ended up here? Well, there's a lot of reasons, I suppose. It's like the old saying, April showers bring May flowers. Yeah, it does. For example, lately it's been pouring down hard, but someday the sun's bound to start shining on me. It'll come someday, I'm sure of it. Yeah, likewise. For now, I'm just a small-time thief, Kid adds, but someday I'm gonna strike it rich, and then watch out. Hey, what's that bright flash over there? Kid suddenly asks, pointing towards the thicket in front of us. Huh? I don't see anything. I look around closely, but all I see is a bunch of trees and rocks, extending on into the darkness. It was a bright flash. It was right over there, I tell you. Let's go check it out. I walk over beside Kid, trying to see whatever it was she saw. McGill approaches as well a moment later. We are already fairly deep into Lord Lynx's territory, he says. It's dangerous to start blindly wandering around. You are aware of that fact, are you not? However, Kid doesn't budge an inch, keeping her eyes on the bush. "Do you feel something here?" McGill asks, changing his expression a moment later. Kid's eyes meet McGill's for a moment, but before long, she returns her focus to the forest. "So be it," he finally says. "If we are intended to stray from the path, this may prove to be worth something in its own regard." But before McGill even finishes speaking, Kid bolts, disappearing into the trees. "Hey, wait up!" "Be careful, Serge. Foul things lie down this path." Nodding, I cautiously start to make my way through the trees. Oh boy, what's going to be here for us? Maybe it was just fireflies. Much to my surprise, we're able to find it right away. It turns out to be a beautiful beetle, colored solid gold, perched on a high tree limb. "The golden beetle!" Kid cries out, climbing up the large tree. The beetle certainly glitters like real gold. Kid seems quite caught up in the sight. No, not caught up in the sight. Rather caught up in the greed, I should say. Man, she's fast. She's already climbed up about 5 or 6 times my height, heavily baited with hopes of gold. Aha! Kid catches it, but almost instantly the beetle shakes free, buzzing out of her hand. "Wait!" she yells, reaching out her hand further and further, hoping to catch the golden insect, but suddenly she loses balance and falls. We try to catch her. "Hold on!" I yell, leaping forward. But then she begins to curl herself into a small ball, spinning around in midair like a cannonball. This is bad. She'll knock the both of us out if I have to catch her like that. Seeing this, I jump out of the way, fearing for my life. However, Kid opens herself up mere feet from the ground, gracefully landing as nimble as a cat. She doesn't seem hurt in the least. If I hadn't run, she probably would have landed flat on my face. "Kid." "Wait, my beetle," she yells, continuing to chase after it without even acknowledging us. Relentlessly chasing the beetle, she plunges deeper and deeper into the forest. We follow after, desperately trying to keep her in sight. For all I know, it could be the golden beetle, or just another common insect. However, we're so deep in the forest now, I can't see anything but an endless assortment of dark trees and jagged rocks, stretching out in every direction. I doubt Kid herself could even see the beetle at this point. How could she still be tracking it? As soon as I start to ask myself this, I realize what she'd tell me. Intuition. Suddenly, Kid stops in a clearing. "Did you find it, Kid?" "Nah, I found something gold, but it ain't the golden beetle." I look over Kid's shoulder. There, in a small spot of light, stands a tall, golden plant. My first impression is that it's a sunflower, but those don't usually bloom at night, do they? Haven't you ever seen... What is this thing? Jeez, they're as thick as ever. There's something special about this thing. Can't you feel it? I close my eyes, trying to get one of those feelings she's always talking about. Let's take a deep breath. Forest smell. Kid suddenly jabs me in the arm. I have to admit, I haven't had much luck being intuitive, especially while being beaten up. I try to wonder what she can possibly be feeling all the way out here in the middle of nowhere. I walk around the enormous plant, taking another look at it. But then, suddenly... What the... Okay. It's kind of creepy. A face suddenly emerges in the center of the flower. It's a ghastly sight, complete with drunken, drowsy eyes, purple eyelashes, thick pink lips, and a long bent nose. A cross-dressing sunflower. Now I've seen it all. What is it, McGill? Apparently unfazed by the strange sight, McGill calmly starts to rack his brain. What was this sort of thing called? He says as he strokes his chin, going into a sort of quiet trance. I sure hope he remembers soon. That's McGill for you, though. He's got a head full of knowledge, wiser than most I've ever met. However, it takes him a good bit of time to remember certain things, and until he remembers, he'll remain completely useless. He's led us into danger a few times because of that. Bonsoir, mademoiselle. Wait, it can talk too? Madame what? Kid asks, smirking. Ah, ma chérie. I was just sneaking a peek at your petite breast. I hope that you are not angry. You French bastard. Now I know I've seen everything. What? Get your eyes off of me. Oh, my sweet mademoiselle, how young and feisty you are. The sunflower answers back playfully. You perverted freak of nature. Watch what you say around me, Kid says as she flashes her dagger, dangling down at her side. Kid, squaring off with the sunflower. Now I've seen it all. Ah, my darling. Perhaps you and I could converse somewhere a bit more private. Suddenly, Kid whips out her dagger, slashing clean through the sunflower's stalk. Gah! Its blaring screech is as excruciating to hear as 100 hands simultaneously scratching down a chalkboard. I feel faint. My knees are going to buckle if I hear any more of that deafening screech. But then, suddenly, oh, you must not be so violent, my sweet-chested filet. That tickles. Somehow, another sunflower has instantly sprouted and replaced the one that was cut down, perfectly identical to its predecessor. Bastard, Kid shouts, slashing her dagger through the air once again. Gah! More and more of that awful screech fills the air. But then, moments later... No, I am not yet married, but if you insist... Gah! 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 Okay, now this is just overkill. Kid, we're getting nowhere. Kid continues hacking away, tearing down every new sunflower that pops up. However, for every one she mows down, 2 or 3 instantly sprout up in its place. All this screeching. I can't take it any longer. Stop. Kid. Please. Let's try to stop her. Come on, kid, stop. I shout, trying to intervene. However, she heatedly shoves me aside, becoming more and more infuriated as she hacks through the never-ending crop of sunflowers. Kid! Come on, snap out of it! I shout, trying to shake her, but she only shrugs me off as she continues to whack away at the sunflowers, getting more and more infuriated. Ah, ma chérie, why must you shake your puny little sword at moi? We do not need such love games. With the sweet feelings we have for each other, there is no use for la violence. No c'est pas. Kid's face turns redder and redder as she buries herself further into the sunflower patch. Ah, I remember now, McGill says, finally snapping out of it. This is what is known as a Mandora monster. Please do not make the mistake of trying to cut it down. McGill, where have you been? I point to the humongous crop of sunflowers, where Kid has now resorted to gripping one of the sunflower stalks and shaking it with both hands. However, the sunflower does nothing but laugh down at her. Hoo 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 hoo. Don't know how the sunflower would laugh. Suddenly all around us the ground starts to tremble and quake. Dirt loosens as the ground gives way, creating a sort of quicksand beneath our feet. I leap back instantly, but then realize Kid's still in the thick of it, ignoring everything except the sunflowers. "Kid!" I yell, but it's too late. She's caught up in the entanglement of stalks. After a moment, she slips and falls on the unstable ground, getting swallowed up into the newly formed pit beneath her. I try to go after her, but just as I approach the patch, a great number of plants and vines quickly shoot up around Kid, blocking me. Then suddenly, a mess of vines leap out directly at me, trying to wrap themselves around my arms and legs. However, I feel a set of strong arms take hold of me and jerk me back almost immediately. "Thanks, McGill." "There's no time to lose. Run." "But Kid..." "I know." Running up onto a nearby hill, I stop for a moment and look back. The whole mess is nothing but a billowing cloud of dust now. All I can make out are a multitude of vines waving crazily in the air. I can neither see nor hear Kid. Let's head back in and try to rescue her. As soon as I try to make a run for the dusty mess, McGill reaches out with his large hands, restraining me. We must wait for the dust to settle. It's useless to try and find her now. He's right. It's way too crazy in there right now. I try to remind myself that the only reason I want to do something is out of shock. I just need to relax. After a minute or two, the dust starts to settle. Hey, what's that? A large silhouette is starting to appear from out of the dust cloud. It's big, a lot bigger than what was there before. As the figure is gradually exposed to the moonlight, I start to see a more defined shape. Oh, that is creepy. Kid! This thing, whatever it is easily 7 or 8 times my height. Its body seems to resemble a gorilla's. Its exposed muscles are wrapped in ivy, and its digits remind me of pointed shellfish. Golden sunflower petals are lined up the back of its neck. However, instead of a head, it's her. Kid's stark, naked upper body has been fused into the top of the monster. Other than the 2 small sunflowers covering her chest, she's wearing nothing at all. Serge, listen to me. The Mandora monster has fused with Kid. We must save her quickly, otherwise she'll be lost forever, consumed by her own hate. Okay then. Serge, quit gawking and pay attention. What? You mean she's going to die? I frantically try to think of what to do. It's hard, though. I can't seem to take my eyes off those 2 sunflowers. How do we save her? Calm down. There is a way. The monster has managed to intertwine itself with Kid because of her strong sentiments of anger. Unless we separate Kid from her anger, we will be unable to save her. And how do we do that? With love. Love? Yes, it's the only way. I shall go and make preparations. In the meantime, protect Kid's body and show her love. Also, you must prevent her from using any magic. In her current state, the more she casts spells, the more she'll be lost to that beast. What? Kid can't use magic. She can now. How can this be happening? Serge, show her your love, McGill says, leaving me with those words as he sinks into a nearby shadow. Wait! McGill! McGill! Oh boy. How do we show Kid our love? Alone and afraid, I look up at the huge atrocity as I shudder in the chilly nighttime breeze. Love. I couldn't think of a more awkward place to think about love. The sound of the word makes me cringe as it dances through my mind. While lost in thought, I suddenly hear a soft muttering from far above. You say they're small. They're not small, I tell ya. Others are big. Too big. Stop making fun of me. Stop making fun of me. I'll kill you. I'll kill you all. Kid cries out madly, her eyes filled with flames of rage. Suddenly her gaze shifts towards me. The monster instantly lashes out a giant stone hammer from behind, arcing down towards me. I instantly jump back, just as the giant hammer comes crashing down, kicking up heaps of dirt and sand with a ground-shaking thud. "Kid, it's me, Serge," I cry out to her, waving my arms wildly. However, the only reaction I get is of increasing anger. Just then I start to hear a low voice call out from beyond a nearby hill. "What's going on over there?" Oh no, goblins. Look, it's the Mandora. What's got it all acting up? Noticing the goblins, the monster begins to moan. Kid's cheeks puff up, and then suddenly, I have a feeling this is all going bad. Kid sends a giant fireball streaking out of her mouth, crashing into the goblins. It instantly reduces them to ashes. Damn it! Magic! I say to myself as McGill's warning flashes through my head. Finished with the goblins, the monster suddenly remembers me, turning around and returning its gaze my way. "I love you, kid!" I can't help but feel embarrassed professing my love to a hulking monster who's ready to kill me. I nervously shout, "I love you!" up into the night sky, hoping she'll hear me. Suddenly the monster starts to draw closer and closer to me. Did I do it? Is she coming back to reality? No, it really doesn't look like it. Help! I run and hide, plunging into the deep, dark labyrinth of the wilderness. However, behind me I can hear the thunderous sounds of trees being crushed and boulders being broken. I continue to run as the gigantic monster chases after me. I've been running for at least 5 straight minutes now, dodging trees and jumping logs. I'm starting to lose my breath. Just as I begin to think I can't run anymore, the end of the forest comes into view. However, as I come to the clearing, lined up before me is a troop of fearless-looking goblins. They're carrying a huge cannon with them, easily 20 feet tall. I try not to think of how easily I'll be obliterated if I ever accidentally stood in its path, or was forced to stand in its path for that matter. "There! Lock on target!" shouts a goblin. Oh great. Let's try to tell them what's happening. I'm not going to run away. I collapse at the goblin's feet out of breath. The goblin leader, decked in a full suit of iron armor, sporting lynx's insignia, comes over towards me. It glares at me with piercing, intimidating eyes, as though it's ready to whip out its mace if I do so much as breathe the wrong way. I really don't know about this, turning to goblins for help, but I've got no other choice. If I turn tail and run, they'll for sure fire on Kid. Please, you have to help me save my friend. The goblin guard stares at me blankly. I continue, gasping for air between sentences. "We were chasing after this beetle, but then a sunflower suddenly appeared and captured my friend and started to chase me through the forest. Please, you have to help us. She's the most important thing in the world to me." The goblin's eyes relax. "Is that right? Your friend was captured? I understand. We'll help you. Don't worry. Thank you. Boy, I'm sure glad I didn't judge this book by its cover. However, just as I say this, and how much wood's this lovely beetle of kids sell for? That voice. Suddenly the goblin shouts out, "What? Your friend is that crooked thief kid?" A wave of shock goes through me, just when things were starting to seem okay for once. I try to see behind the goblins, searching for that strangely familiar voice, the one that sounded just like the sunflowers. However, all I can make out is some sort of strange psychedelic light emanating from behind the troop. The light seems to be coming from a figure, whoever or whatever it is. As he makes his way through the crowd, I finally get a good look at him. His hairstyle reminds me of a tall green chimney, and his red and green pinstriped costume is like that of a Harley Quinn. An over-the-top long purple cape drags behind him as he approaches me. "Are you the sunflower?" I ask, confused. "Sunflower? Who is a sunflower?" it cries out. I can't help it. This person, no, this thing. His face looks exactly like the sunflowers. Caught off guard by the sight, 2 goblin guards flank me by surprise, wrestling me to the ground. "Ah, monsieur, you are Mademoiselle Kidd's friend, no? I do not believe we have met. Bonsoir. Je m'appelle Apollyon. Throughout the world I am known as the Green Terror. Perhaps you have heard of me? No? Let's glare at it. I don't want to piss it off completely. Ugh. That same strange feeling I got with that sunflower arises. No matter. Soon le terror shall be planted in your heart, for Kidd's death is at hand. As a gentleman, I shall grant you the privilege of seeing this happen before your very eyes." "Isn't there anything else you can do?" I plead from the bottom of my heart, begging to let her go. "Ah, it is very beautiful that you feel this way about her. But alas, I am under employment, and I must deal with intruders. I am sorry, but I cannot grant your wish," Paulin says with a cheerful gesture of consolation. "Captain, there it is!" The goblin's shout strikes into my heart like a death sentence. "To the cannon, sir," the guard says to Paulin. "Stop, please," I holler, hopelessly trying to break free of the guard's restraint. However, they only tighten their grip on my arms, and tears begin to stream down my cheeks as the pain shoots in. "Monsieur, I offer you this. Are there any final words you would like more to say to this friend of yours?" "Please, I beg of you, stop. You really have true feelings for this filly," Apollyon says softly, taking out a handkerchief to wipe his tears. "I am most moved," he continues. "Perhaps when I finish here, I shall say for you, 'Adieu, ma chérie. Wait for moi in hell, my sweet.'" With a bittersweet smile on his face, Paulin skips toward the pedestal. "No! Stop!" My grievous cries resound unanswered, echoing throughout the starry night sky. I can see some of the goblins have felt my side of the story, but Paulin remains unfazed. "Well then, let us begin," he shouts, grasping the crystal ball with both hands. "Fireball!" "Adieu, ma chérie. Wait for moi in hell, my sweet." The barrel of the magical cannon flashes as a tremendous fireball is let loose. boy. I think I might have made a mistake. It shoots directly towards the monster, crashing into its torso with the impact of a 2-ton battering ram. Explosive flames engulf the area, blowing me back with a gust of hot air. Kid! Oui, finally! We are rid of that horrible little mademoiselle. In the past, such terrible experiences have stemmed from her, no? But now we shall worry about her no more. Kid. I fall to the ground, devastated, but even more so is the dreadful feeling of regret I'm filled with. However, suddenly, the goblin guards simultaneously call out in surprise. Captain, look! A giant figure of some kind seems to be emerging from the blazing explosion. Ha! You bastards. As the smoke subsides, there stands the monster, completely unharmed. Just as I thought, that pompous freak is no match for Kid. I breathe a sigh of relief, but then realize I'm no further away from doom than before. What? She lives? How can this be? Paulin screams incredulously, running toward me. The relaxed smile from earlier has now been replaced with nervous sweat. What kind of twisted magic is this? He frustratedly asks me. It's impossible, Porvor. I answer sarcastically, trying to imitate that pompous accent of his, complete with landing a few drops of saliva on his putrid face. Paulin turns bright red. What? Spit it out, you little swine! He demands, furiously shaking me by my shirt. But then, all of a sudden, like a howling wolf, Kid's voice echoes out throughout the grassy plain. A chill runs down my spine. Could it really be her, trying to break free from the monster? As I stare up at her, silence and fear take hold. She's waving her hands around in the air, saying something in a slow, deep voice. Oh, Kid, you gonna be okay? The dead who lurk in the dark. Quietly and solemnly, Kid's voice begins to echo out. That's her voice, all right, but it doesn't sound like her at all. That monster's still got a hold on her. It must be using her to summon another spell. As she continues to chant, a blue aura starts to form in front of her, shimmering with deadly beauty. How can she do that? Paulin shrieks, now turning blue with fright. No one can stand up against my cannon. Adieu, he shouts before quickly fleeing. The goblin chief follows soon after. All troops, fall back! Retreat to the manor, on the double! Following the goblin chief's orders, the soldiers abandon the cannon and flee to Viper Manor. I'm left alone with this gigantic monstrosity. Listening to it start to summon who knows what. What am I going to do now? I cry for help. My cries ring out in the night sky as I gulp down desperate gasps of air. However, the only response I hear is Kid's. Hatred and jealousy in my hands. Gather into 1,000 dark prayers. Just as I think I'm about to lose it, a voice echoes out from behind me. There you are. Alarmed, I whip around instantly. McGill! Relieved, I try to catch my breath. He's changed. A strange sort of glittering silver robe drapes down from his shoulders, and a bright ring shines across his entire back. Gil, what are you gonna do? I want to ask him about his new clothes and everything, but now isn't the time. Instead, I tell him all about what happened, the chain of events relentlessly overflowing from my heart. I tried to do what you told me to do, but... Yes. However, for now, we should leave this area. It is not safe here. Scooping me up under his arm, McGill briefly recites a spell, giving me the hiccups, and soars high into the air. From far above, I look down upon the ominous landscape, hearing Kid continue to recite her strange incantation. What is she doing? Pretty frightening. The fallen angel, Archmist. Answer my prayers, and grant me thy power. I can barely make it all out from up here, but from what I can tell, a faint pale light is starting to drift all around the monster, causing the ball of light in Kid's hands to grow stronger and stronger. I wish I could do something, but I don't know what to do. Death to all living things. It's really turned her into a demon. Destruction to all creation. Devour all light. Phantom, break. With the sound of 1,000 tortured voices of madness crying out in unison, Kid's surging ball of light begins to grow larger and larger, eating away at everything around her. The pale shimmering light slowly stretches outwards, swallowing up everything in its path, melting Viper Manor like fire on ice. It indiscriminately evaporates the huge mansion, along with everything else in its wake. Wow. Just like that, stretching out more and more, the gigantic void eats away at everything before disappearing into the ground. Unbelievable. If McGill hadn't been here just now... Oh man, just thinking about it gives me chills. A giant fissure has been created where Viper Manor once stood, continuing down into the ground farther than I can see. And there, on the brink of this newly formed ravine, stands Kid. She seems to be holding out, McGill says. She's wrestling with the monster for control, but she's almost at her limit. I can barely hold back the impatience in my heart, looking down upon all this. What's going to happen to her? Don't let her die! Quiet, child. McGill's unexpected outburst snaps me out of my nervousness. Calm down, Serge. He's right. I need to keep my cool. I don't think he needed to go about it like that, though. Allow me to cast a levitation spell on you, he says before muttering some arcane words. Shortly after, he gently releases me. Whoa, I'm floating. To fly, simply think about the direction you wish to travel. Nodding, I carefully try it out. And he's right. This is amazing. I dart here and there, flying circles around him with ease. Now, please let me see your knife. I take it out and hand it to him. McGill takes out a white jewel from inside his robe, and again mumbles some strange-sounding words. Suddenly the jewel attaches itself to the hilt of my knife, as though it were magnetized. He hands the knife back to me, saying, I mentioned this to you before, but let me emphasize it again. Kid is bound to the monster's body because of her anger. As long as that bond exists, we will be unable to save her. To break it, I told you to show her your love. But I don't understand how to do that. I yell, pressing him for an answer. A kiss. I have to kiss that thing? Yes, it is the most effective way. But its arms are as wide as my waist. Why didn't you tell me this before? I yell, hitting him upside the head in a fit of rage. And with that, I accidentally knock McGill's golden mask off, sending it falling down through the night sky to the ground. Oh man, did I just do that? This is the first time I've ever seen his true face. Even for a guy like me, I'm taken aback by his looks. His hair sways in the moonlight as his piercing blue eyes survey the environment below. His beauty is different than a woman's. There's some sort of a fierce, intrepid quality about him. He is truly a beautiful person. McGill's hand suddenly comes across my face, eagerly returning the blow. Serge, listen to me. I'm okay now, I swear. I wasn't gawking at you. That fine, supple skin. I wasn't. If Kid uses one more spell, we will not be able to save her. Be sure to kiss her before that happens. However, if you are unable to do this before she finishes concentrating her magical power, you must thrust your knife into her heart. The jewel embedded in your knife holds the power to steal souls. Doing so will be dangerous, but it will be our last resort. Listening to McGill's words, the possibilities run through my head. Two choices. Even though I can fly, it's going to be incredibly hard to get close enough to that thing to kiss her. But the alternative, I don't even want to think about that. I'm going to start preparations for the exorcism. I will not be able to come to your aid during this time. Oh man, he's got to go away again? Could this get any more hopeless? Taking a deep breath, I try to convince myself I should be facing Kid on my own anyways. I got it. I'll do my best. Yes, Serge. Your determination is at the very core of this matter, he says, with his deep blue eyes fixed solidly on me. Strange. Behind that seemingly impenetrable gaze of his, I swear I see a hint of compassion, somewhere within him. Well then, let's go. Protect the girl you love with all your might and all your heart. As McGill's words resound into my head, an uproar of might rushes into my spirit. I'm going to save her, even if it kills me. The will to save the one and only Kid pulses through my body. I flash McGill a huge smile and begin my descent. For Kid. We can do this. Maybe. Soaring down through the air, I spot Kid at the edge of the chasm. She's aware of me as well. As the monster rises to its feet, she stares up at me with an infuriated look on her face. She's changed. Countless red veins have streaked across her body, pulsating with anger. The monster's right hand arcs upward in a flash, trying desperately to grab me. I dodge at the very last second. I zip behind its arm, coming within a dangerously close range. Let's try to cover her mouth up. Come on. Time this right. I reach out my right hand and carefully cover up her mouth, hoping to prevent her from completing the spell. No time to talk. Moving up towards Kid's chin, I try to give her a kiss. However, she has other plans. She thrusts her right hand upward, clocking my jaw from underneath. Let's raise up our hands. I desperately try to drive away her hands, but she manages to poke me in the eye. Ouch! Tears roll down my cheeks as an intense pain shoots into my right eye. Could this get any worse? Oh, I'm sure it could. Suddenly, a tremendous pressure assaults my torso. Looking around, I realize the monster's caught me in its huge hand. It brings me up towards Kid, with her morbid stare fixed solely on me. Her lips turn into a gloating smile, before changing into a billowing, hateful laugh. She reaches out and places her right hand on my forehead, and then a stream of red starts to pour from her mouth. Oh no, she's starting another spell. Let's try to break, I don't know here. Twisting and turning with all my strength, I struggle to escape from my bonds. However, the monster's grip isn't loosened one bit. However, her expression remains unchanged as her unblinking eyes dance around erratically. Suddenly, a trace of light begins to form in the palm of her hand. Red streaks begin to rise up along her body. Kid! Then, suddenly, a ring of light comes flying at us from overhead, cutting into the monster's arm like a hot knife through butter. I fall to the ground with the monster's arm instantly released from its excruciating grip. "Surge! Now!" McGill shouts up. From above, heeding McGill's order, I go for it. Reaching my hand out towards her ever-beautiful face, I hesitatingly move in towards her lips. Can we make it? Please, God, save her. I can't do it without you, Kid. The words echo out in my head. Well done, Surge. Hold her tightly to you, and leave the rest to me. Hearing that voice, I slowly open my eyes. All I see before me is Kid's face, hollow and listless. I'm so scared. I hug her tightly, more tightly than I've ever hugged her before, quietly sobbing as I kiss her again and again. Looking up, I see McGill floating among a sea of clouds. Hanging there in midair with his arms folded, his dazzling figure glitters like gold. Suddenly the clouds beneath him open up as he darts downward, aiming directly for us. The moon comes forth. Its goddess speaks. I am summoned by the will to vanquish evil. Goddess of the moon, lend me your power. Scourge the insolent evil from this world. Now. The golden ring printed on McGill's cape shines brighter and brighter as he swoops down onto us. Luna chant something kick. Centered on Kid, the collision creates a huge explosion, spreading over the monster's entire body. My first instinct is to back away, but I remain by her, hugging her body tighter than ever. Somehow the explosive flames don't seem to harm me. Soon after, the flames begin to subside. I slowly open my eyes, only to see the spell on Kid has been broken. She's been separated from the monster. I hold her body tightly to me as I fly away with her, far out of the reach of the incapacitated monster. Looking back, the monster begins to pulsate with a white light, causing the battered monster's body to shake and tremble. Shimmering sparks dance around its body, circling the beast faster and faster, until the entire scene is a glistening ball of light. Soaring further and further away from the calamity, I look back again, only to see the monster implode into a single point of light. Having left no trace of the disaster that took place before, the small point of light briefly zips around like a firefly, disappearing into the night sky in a flash. Looking down, I can't help but grin as I see the familiar sight of Kid's face. The green in her skin is rapidly fading, returning to the normal color it once was. Kid, it's going to be okay. There is no need to worry. Once her spirit settles, she will awaken. Here, put this on her. It wouldn't be too good if she were to wake up like that, McGill says, holding out his silver cape. Yeah, if she wakes up like this, it'll be slaps and bruises for everyone. I take the cape and quickly wrap it around her limp body. She's coming to. My heart races. I look at her face, seeing her eyelids start to tremble. "Good morning, kid," I say, still a bit nervous. "Serge. McGill." She groggily moves her eyes around left and right. And then, after that brief, subdued moment, "You too. Damn it. You saw me naked, didn't you?" Shocked, I look up at McGill, but he's nowhere to be seen. How could he leave me alone with her at a time like this? Why can't I be the one with the power of the shadows? Kid stares at me with those ever-fiery eyes of hers. Hey, you kissed me too. How could she remember any of that? Damn it, McGill! Yes, let's just be honest, of course I did. Letting out a deep breath, I answer truthfully. But before I can finish... Yeah, just like I thought. Trying to sneak in a quick peck when I'm knocked out, she yells, rising to her feet, slapping me again and again. And I'd never been kissed before. The nerve. You bastard. You bastard, you bastard. Suddenly she stops and looks at me. It's over. Hell no, this ain't over. She lands a solid punch square on my jaw, as her shouting continues to tear through my eardrums. Amidst all the commotion, the silver cape she was wearing accidentally slips off. Momentarily thrown off guard, she quickly bends down to cover herself back up. Heh. Wait, what's that on the ground? Kid seems to notice it as well, completely forgetting about me. She bends down, picking it up. It's some sort of large black and white striped object. Holding it up, I try to see what it is from a safe distance. It looks like it's some sort of seed. Yeah, it's a sunflower seed. But it's so big, bigger than a fist. However, this only seems to add more fuel to her fire. She stomps on it, and stomps some more. She doesn't stop stomping. Then she picks it up and hurls it upwards with all her might. "Kid!" shouts McGill suddenly behind her. "Kid, no!" he roars, but it's useless. She's locked into another one of her tantrums. I think she's chanting, yeah. she know magic now? I think she does. Disregarding him completely, she sends a huge fireball streaking upwards toward the seed. That sunflower seed. It's worth $1 billion gold, McGill shouts, just as the seed explodes. Kid suddenly looks over at McGill, but it's too late. Oh, the look on her face is one I don't think I've ever seen before. Having just realized what she's done, her anger fades into a tremendous feeling of regret. She slumps over, silently staring into her hands. I can't believe a single seed could fetch such a price. It was a pretty big seed, though. Be calm, kid, McGill says. As you see now, you've had the power to use magic in you all along. The sunflower merely brought it out of you. However, as you see, magic is a very temperamental thing. In time, you may learn to control it. Hey, come on, kid. We didn't come away from this empty-handed. You've learned how to use magic. That's nothing to be down about, I add, trying to make the best of things. McGill softly puts a hand on her shoulder. However, she quickly turns away from us without saying a word. Her eyes are overflowing with tears. Looks like it might be a while before things get back to normal. Maybe I should have just lied to her, too. So what about the frozen flame, guys? Does it still exist? Or did she destroy that too with Viper Manor? Oh well, and so the curtain closes on another tale. However, another time, after the spotlight had faded from Kid, McGill, and Pollen, in another place and another time, a similar band of adventurers had come forth, equally unsuspecting of their other selves, and life went on as they strode out into the great unknown. But that's a story for another day. For now, I'll put down my pen, and I'll end the video. And we'll see what happens in the future. As I softly close my grandfather's diary, I hear my mother's voice call to me from downstairs. "Didn't you hear me? Your friend is here." I turn around, already knowing who it is. My door opens quite energetically, where I see a strangely nostalgic young girl leap in. "Sage, we found some ruins in an old mansion up in northern Kitsune Forest today. Come on, let's go exploring." And of course, there's no way I could say no to those beautiful baby blues.